Anna?
I don't want to bash on polygamy.
You won't hurt my feelings.
People who decide that, I just don't think it works.
It was one of those moments where you just stop, stare at the screen, and think, did she really just say that? Like, out loud? Because when Robyn Brown looked into that camera and said the rest of the family was too focused on the kids who had already left home and that the focus should be on the children still living at home, the internet practically gasped in unison. Not because it was shocking, but because it was so painfully, almost laughably hypocritical. Every single one of Robyn's children still lives under her roof. Every single one. And yet, she positioned herself as the only one who was focused on the kids who mattered. That wasn't just a lie. It was a full-blown strategy. Hi friends, this is Sarah from TLC Sister Wives Recap, and if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that now. You're not going to want to miss what we're unpacking in this one. And tell me in the comments, did you catch what Robyn said when she tried to justify being the main family? Because today, we're talking about the moment the mask slipped, and everything Robyn and Kody had worked so hard to control started to fall apart. Let's talk about the reality here. Christine's kids had already started lives of their own. Ysabel was going off to college, Mykelti was raising twins, Peyton had joined the military. Janelle's kids were working in school, building their futures. But just because they'd moved out didn't mean they stopped needing love and support. Moms like Christine and Janelle knew that parenting didn't end when your kids moved out. It just shifted. They were showing up for their adult kids in new ways, supporting them emotionally, traveling for major life moments, staying connected through phone calls and care packages. But according to Robyn, that was too much focus on children who had left. Meanwhile, in the house Robyn shared with Kody, it wasn't just that her kids still lived there. It was the way she weaponized that fact to make it seem like she and Kody were the only ones who were really parenting anymore. She twisted the narrative to imply that the other wives were checked out, while she was the last one standing. The favorite wife, the loyal wife, the one with the main family. But viewers, we saw right through it. That comment about older kids not needing attention wasn't just tone-deaf. It was a calculated jab, a way to isolate Christine and Janelle, a way to reframe Kody's absence as their fault, not his. It exposed the quiet power play Robyn had been making all along, redefining what family meant so that the rest of the Browns didn't qualify anymore. And once she said it out loud, there was no going back. If you ever needed proof that Kody Brown doesn't treat all his children the same, just look at the difference in how he reacted to Aurora having a panic attack over college, versus Ysabel begging her father to fly across the country for her scoliosis surgery. One moment, he's sobbing at the idea of Aurora moving out for a few months. The next, he's refusing to get on a plane to be there for his biological daughter during one of the most painful, vulnerable moments of her life. Let that sink in. Ysabel was having spinal surgery. She was afraid. She was in pain. She was traveling to the East Coast during the height of a pandemic for a life-changing medical procedure. And her dad, Kody, flat out refused to go with her. Not because he was sick, not because he was banned from the hospital, but because he didn't want to quarantine away from Robyn and her kids. Let me say that again. He chose Robyn's living room over his own daughter's operating room. But when Aurora, Robyn's daughter from a previous marriage, got anxious about being away at college for a short time, Kody unraveled. He cried. He comforted. He said over and over again how hard it was to see her in distress. The difference couldn't be more glaring. Kody doesn't show up based on who needs him. He shows up based on who makes him feel adored. And that's the devastating part, because kids like Garrison and Gabe, Janelle's boys, didn't stop loving their dad, but they did start calling him out. And that's when Kody turned cold. Garrison was building a life, serving his country in the National Guard, trying to be an adult, and he still longed for connection with his father. Gabe literally cried on camera, explaining how his dad forgot his birthday. These boys weren't perfect, but they were hurting. And Kody's response? Accuse them of disloyalty, demand apologies, threaten to cut them off. Compare that to how he coddled Robyn's children, who always seemed ready to echo whatever he said. Suddenly, His love had conditions. Be quiet, be loyal, be obedient, and then you get access to Kody's attention, and it wasn't just the boys. Maddie, Janelle's daughter, gave birth to Evie without any support from Kody. Not a visit, not a hand to hold. Christine's daughters had milestones and medical needs that Kody dismissed like background noise. Meanwhile, he was scheduling his life around Robyn's household, making sure every emotion, every sneeze, every decision in that home had his full attention. This wasn't fatherhood. This was performance. This was about control and ego, not love. And for viewers, it was gut-wrenching to watch, because no child, no matter how old, deserves to be treated like an obstacle, and no parent should ever put loyalty tests before love. For years, we were told the Brown family moved to Flagstaff for a fresh start, a new beginning, a slower pace of life. But fans who've been watching closely know that move wasn't about peace. It wasn't about unity. It was about power, and not for the family, for Kody and Robyn. Let's start with what was really happening behind the scenes. Just before the move, Kody was starting to lose control. Christine was finding her voice. Janelle was focused on her grown kids. Mary, well, she was already emotionally checked out. But Robyn? She still treated Kody like the king of the castle, and that loyalty gave her a golden ticket. Kody needed her house to feel like home. So when Robyn pushed for Arizona, suddenly everyone else was expected to fall in line. But why Flagstaff? It wasn't random. First, Dayton, Robyn's oldest son, was accepted to Northern Arizona University, and Robyn wanted to be close. Not just supportive, close enough to keep full control of her household dynamics. Second, and this is something viewers forget, Arizona has far looser gun laws than Nevada. And Kody, who once ran a firearm-related business, had long-standing interests tied to weapon sales and ownership. Suddenly, the move wasn't just personal, it was financially strategic. Then there's TLC. After years of stagnant storylines in Vegas, producers needed drama, tension, and change. Flagstaff gave them everything: uncertainty, stress, and division. And Kody? He loves the spotlight. The drama made good TV, and good TV meant more money, more control, more time to mold the narrative in his favor. But here's the real kicker. The move allowed Kody and Robyn to consolidate assets under their control. The other wives were pressured, some subtly, some not, to sell their Vegas homes. Those homes were the last real pieces of financial independence the women had. But the promise of Coyote Pass dangled like a carrot. Sell your homes, pool your money, and we'll all build together, Kody said. Except, he didn't mean together. He meant under his rule. And where did all that money go? While the rest of the wives were living in rentals or RVs, Robyn moved into a nearly $900,000 mansion, fully furnished with the down payment secured by family funds. Meanwhile, Janelle was showering in a camper and Christine was cooking for 6 in a tiny kitchen. Robyn got the castle, and the rest got promises. And Coyote Pass? Still undeveloped, still unlivable. But it served its purpose. It got the wives to give up their assets, sign over their leverage, and tie their futures to a fantasy that never came true. This wasn't a fresh start, it was a financial ambush. And Robyn? She played her part perfectly. Soft voice, trembling tears, pretending she just wanted peace, while the balance of power shifted quietly, irreversibly, in her favor. If Kody Brown thought he could survive the family implosion with Robyn by his side and everything else still intact, he underestimated Janelle, because her exit didn't just rattle the foundation of his polygamist fantasy, it exposed how fragile his empire really was. For years, Janelle was seen as the easy wife, the one who didn't complain, who didn't cry on camera, who handled her own kids, her own finances, her own emotions. She didn't need Kody the way Robyn did, and for a long time, that worked in his favor. Janelle was the one holding the household together in the background, quietly paying bills, raising boys, and running businesses, while Kody flitted between homes like a king playing favorites. But when Janelle finally walked away, everything shifted. Because this wasn't just an emotional loss for Kody, it was a financial one. Janelle brought in real money, whether it was her decades in real estate, her health and wellness ventures, or her deep understanding of budgeting and logistics. Janelle kept the family functioning behind the curtain. She was the one who knew where the money was going, the one who worried about retirement accounts, the one who managed to live frugally so the whole family could stay afloat. And let's not forget, Janelle was fully invested in Coyote Pass. She sold her Vegas home, handed over her equity, and lived in an RV just to keep the dream alive. That wasn't just commitment, that was sacrifice. But what did she get in return? A husband who skipped holidays, a partner who didn't check in, a man who demanded loyalty, then gave her nothing back. So when Janelle finally snapped, when she looked Kody in the eye and told him she'd rather be alone than disrespected, it wasn't just a breakup, it was a revolution. She had tolerated the unequal treatment. She had stayed quiet while Kody favored Robyn's house, Robyn's rules, Robyn's tears. But when he turned on their kids, when he blamed her sons for not groveling to him, Janelle drew a line. And Kody? He spiraled. Suddenly, he was on camera raging about betrayal, about disrespect, about disobedient children who don't love him enough. But what really broke him wasn't the rebellion. It was the fact that the most loyal wife he ever had finally saw through him. Janelle was the last domino, the one who never asked for more and still got less. And when she left, it proved that love based on loyalty without respect can't last. Kody didn't just lose a wife. He lost the only adult in the room who ever treated the family like a team, not a kingdom. And without her, his house of cards is falling faster than he can spin a new excuse. And now, we circle back to Robyn Brown, the so-called queen of the main family, the one who insisted she just wanted peace, unity, and love. But as the dust settles, viewers can see it clearer than ever before. Robyn's throne was built on the backs of every other wife's sacrifice. When Robyn sobbed on national television, claiming she didn't want to be the favorite, it rang hollow, because her actions said otherwise. While Christine was cooking in cramped kitchens and Janelle was freezing in an RV, Robyn was decorating a nearly $1 million mansion, furnished top to bottom with communal family funds, a plush leather sofa here, designer rugs there, family heirlooms conveniently tucked in Robyn's walk-in closet, items the other wives hadn't seen in years. And her children? They became Kody's emotional leverage. When Ysabel begged her father to come to her spinal surgery and he refused, claiming COVID safety, where was that energy when Aurora had a panic attack over a short move and Kody was suddenly shattered in tears on the floor wrapped in emotion? The double standard wasn't just shocking, it was insulting. Kody poured his time, affection, and presence into Robyn's children like they were his only legacy. But when his sons from other wives tried to hold him accountable, he labeled them rebellious, disrespectful, even dangerous. It became clear, Robyn's kids didn't just have a father, they had a full-time protector, defender, and provider. The rest? Left to figure it out. But here's the explosive irony. The very fortress Robyn and Kody built to shield themselves from the chaos, the house, the loyalty, the secrecy, the favoritism, it's the same structure that exposed them. Because fans aren't blind. The longer the show ran, the more obvious it became. The tears, the gaslighting, the emotional manipulation. It was a performance. Robyn's soft-spoken sadness hid sharp control. Her constant pleas for harmony were always followed by decisions that only benefited her. And Kody? He traded in 4 strong, capable wives for 1 willing echo chamber. And what's left now? A fractured family, estranged children, burned bridges, and Robyn, sitting in a fully furnished mansion, watching it all fall apart. The power she gained came at a steep cost, not just to the other women, but to Kody's legacy, to their children's trust, and to the very idea of what the Brown family was supposed to represent. In the end, Robyn didn't win, because what she and Kody built was never love. It was control, and when control is the foundation, collapse is inevitable.